Hi, this is Arif Rahman coming to you live through Facebook Live. Today we are going to talk about a very sad and somber matter about Bangladesh history. Before we start, I'm going to do a quick test. Yeah, I can hear myself. Today's show is going to be talk in English, so I apologize if people are expecting Bengali. Now, as you can see behind me, there are some babies showing, a lot of them, and you might be wondering what's it about. This is about, this goes back almost 44 years, 45 years now. During 1971, the year Bangladesh was born. Bangladesh was born out of a very painful but very important war. And although we did not want the war, it was put on us, and it was very sad for all of us. Um, Pakistan, West Pakistan, and Bangladesh was East Pakistan back in those days. After 1947 independence from British, colonial powers, India and Pakistan was born, and then Bangladesh. Now Bangladesh, the other East Pakistan and West Pakistan was a part of a single country called Pakistan. And in 1971, West Pakistan, current Pakistan, decided that they don't want Bangladesh or East Pakistani people anymore. So they started a brutal uh, massacre of Bangladeshi people. Obviously, we had to retaliate, and over almost 9 months, 10 months, Bangladesh was a land full of blood and misery. Um, and also the brutal atrocity of Bangladeshi women done by Pakistani armies. I think in this region, in recent history, rape of women as a weapon of war has been used uh, widely by the Pakistani military and systematically by the military. Obviously, when the war finished, Pakistan is retreated, but it left Bangladeshi women, a lot of them dead, mutilated, traumatized, a lot of them unfortunately pregnant. Because they were pregnant out of their unwillingness, the born babies were kind of unwanted in the Bangladeshi society. And a lot of war babies, some of them you see behind me, are called War Child of Bangladesh Liberation War 1971. And some of them were lucky enough to be adopted by international, humanitarian people who lived across the globe, mostly in Canada, and 15 of them were flown over to Canada and then given to different foster parents. We have with us today one of those child, Monwara Clark, and she is very eager and willing to learn more about Bangladesh, and she feels Bangladesh in her blood. I am very honored to have her with us today, and she's a very jolly person, very kind-hearted person. Unfortunately, because of her upbringing, she did not have the luxury of learning Bengali. Although she is dying inside of her to learn Bengali, she can only speak in English, and that's one of the reasons we are going to talk in English today. So, Manora, how are you?
Oh, great. Thank you. Nice to talk to you.
Can you come inside the frame so that people can see your face? You're slightly on the side. Yeah, that's better. So, if you could speak a little bit louder, because I think not many, I think you may need to speak a bit louder. That's,
Okay.
yeah, I
Can you
think
hear
people can
that?
hear you. So,
Okay.
tell us a bit more about you, how you came to know about Bangladesh, and yeah, let's start with yourself. Tell us about yourself.
Well, I didn't really know I was from Bangladesh growing up. I was just told that I looked different, why I was brown, because I come from Bangladesh. But what I saw on TV wasn't very nice, coming from Bangladesh. So I just told people I didn't know why I was brown, why. But later in my life, when I wanted to learn my identity, which was about 7 years ago, I met Kazi Chapel, and he's been helping me get my identity, my birth certificate, and just showing me around all the good stuff in Dhaka.
Kazi, as in who?
Kazi Chapel,
Kazi
yeah.
Chapel. And is he another wild child like yourself, or?
No, no, he's from the Media 71 um, channel, and he was interested in talking to me 7 years ago because I hated Bangladesh. I really hated you guys. I hated you for me being raised in an all-white society and them calling me a nigger and packy and on it goes, and just not fitting in. Growing up here, it was very hard on me, and there wasn't any other children to play with, and it was just really hard growing up on my own. But I learned 2 years ago when I went. I'm continuing to learn about Bangladesh. Yeah,
So, you were growing up in Canada, and you were growing up in a mostly white
all
neighborhood,
white, not even
and
Chinese, all
no,
white.
only white, because Canada
Yes.
back in the days, obviously, it was less immigrants. But your parents must have been really, there must be very human inside because they had the heart to adopt a child from a far, far land.
No, the mother liked George Harrison. George Harrison brought everything up front and showed videos of what was happening. And oh, she wanted a brown baby at the time, but they were going through a divorce, and it was just my situation should have never happened. I should have went to a different family, really. But yeah, that's how it worked out, really.
Well, yes, in hindsight, we can say those things. For those who don't know George Harrison, he was a legend at those time, and when Bangladesh needed much needed international support and help. George Harrison, along with Ravi Shankar, another virtuoso, another humanitarian kind people, he together with George Harrison uh, organized a concert called Concert for Bangladesh, and there's this really nice song we still hear today. Where George Harrison was singing, and we have to remember the 70s, where the generation of the 70s generation. There are so many different names we can call them, but at that time it was all about love. So your parents, although now you can say they, in their personal life, they may have issues. We all do. Still, they at least had the heart to adopt. It could have been worse for you. I mean, you at least had I would say, relatively better upbringing. A lot of the childs I hear, a lot of the child actually, although it's very sad, a lot of the child was murdered within Bangladeshi community who did not have the luxury of actually being picked up by any kind of humanitarian organization. So tell us about bit more about your Bangladesh experience. I know you hated us because
Yes,
obviously because of your color and skin, and
in the
people were
news.
calling you names. But is that the reason you hated Bangladesh, because you looked like a Bangladeshi?
Yeah, from what I saw in the news growing up, I just saw guns, shooting, blowing up. I heard women getting raped. What good thing is there? I mean, floods maybe. Um,
I see. About the war or after the war?
everything, everything. I saw everything, and it was all bad. Nothing was positive. And when I go there, I'm not there to see the poor people or feed them or this or that. I want to go there to learn about the culture and the happy things, because I'm very familiar with the bad things.
I see.
Yeah.
So you said you hated us. That means our hate towards us is a thing of past. Has
Yeah,
it changed now in your mind?
absolutely. I mean, I have so many good friends there, and I'm thinking about going there again. I want to see the elephant and maybe Sunderban if I can afford it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is a bit of a kind of a background for whoever is watching this now and later. The interesting thing is, Monwara, although she's a war child, she has the mind of a very young person. I mean, she's very inquisitive about Bangladesh, and uh, somehow she found me, and she talks to me a lot. Although I don't always have the time to talk, converse with her and give her the attention that she might want. Obviously, there are other friends of mine who talks to her and feeds her information. For example, recently in Bangladesh, I mean, some people might be in wondering what the reference with the elephant. So the elephant story is some big elephant, a stray elephant from India, entered Bangladesh near the Sundarbans, and it's doing some wrecking havoc within the villages. And at some point, it was tranquilized, and then it was kind of for it to be going back to its own land. There was a bit of a hoo-ha, and she must have picked up these snippets of information from news media, and she's quite interested. Tell us about your dog.
Oh, his name is Stripe. And 2 years ago, the first time I came to Bangladesh to get my birth certificate, um, I came across this little puppy running on the street, and I saw that it was alone, and I guess the mother had been killed. And I see that they don't treat dogs very well. And so I saw this little orphan dog, and he was very cute. And anyway, I asked the driver to stop the car immediately, and I grabbed this little puppy. His eyes were still closed, and he fell asleep on my lap. And now he's my boy today here in Canada. I got him.
Cool. So,
I got him here.
can you tell me how much Bangla you know? Can you talk any Bengali?
Uh, no, Baya.
Because somebody's just told me that apparently he knows you and apparently you can speak Bengali, and he's
Oh,
asking us to talk to you in Bengali.
try. You can try, but I go ahead.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. So, the reason I picked up the dog story, because you must have felt the same sort of abandonedness
Yeah.
that you felt yourself, and when you saw a dog, you picked it up and brought it back to Canada, right?
Yes. Yeah. It was an orphan just like me, unwanted, dirty, had horrible maggots running through it, hungry. It reminded me of me, and he's my best friend, and he's my family. So it's pretty cool.
Very nice. So, you went to Bangladesh recently, and what was your experience like? Tell us a bit more about that.
um, well, I had a lot of fun, let's say. Rupa and Shaquille were really good to me. Kazi was excellent. I did have a mishap with a boy who tricked me, wanted just immigration or whatever he could weasel out. But anyway, that's over. Um, I saw Imran, which was really cool. Um, I saw the real Bangladesh, as I wasn't babysat as much as I should have been. Um, Next time I need better babysitters for me. um, yeah, the food was excellent. I stayed in great hotels. I stayed with Rupa, and uh, Kazi was great to me. I couldn't complain. I had actually a perfect trip.
So,
Yeah.
you mentioned about your birth certificate. I mean, being born as a Bangladeshi, although your father may be biological father may be a Pakistani soldier, but because you were born in Bangladesh to a Bangladeshi mother, you are entitled to a Bangladeshi passport, right?
I don't know how to do that. I'm really bad with paperwork, and uh, I just get stressed out when I have to do that kind of thing. I,
So,
no,
but you
I don't have
tried.
one.
You went to Bangladesh recently because that's what you told me, right? You went to Bangladesh to grab a passport, and there were some bureaucratic problems that you failed.
Right. Yeah. The main reason I went there is to actually talk to Hasina. As you see on my birth
You mean the
certificate.
you mean the you mean the Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina you're talking about, right?
Yes,
Okay.
correct. And
You went to talk to her.
I wanted to speak to her. Yes, yes, that's what I wanted to do. That was my goal. Is to have her sign my birth certificate, as her father was shot in August 1974. Was it
No,
four?
75. In fact,
74.
today is quite interesting because it actually happened today.
Right.
40, 41 years ago, 15th of
Yeah.
August, Bangabandhu
Yeah.
Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was killed along with
Yeah.
his majority of his family. And
Hmm.
Sheikh Hasina survived. And today in Bangladesh, this is a very sad and somber day. And Bangladesh is actually mourning. It's a national mourning day for Bangladesh because the father of
Yeah.
the nation, Bangabandhu, was killed. So,
Yeah, I know this, and this is very upsetting to me because I have a birth certificate, as you can see, no mother, no father. So what I was asking Sheikh Hasina to do was to sign for mother, as I don't have any parents on either side of my birth certificate. So I was hoping to have her signature there in place of her father's, but she wasn't interested.
she was not
So
interested and she didn't take
not
your
at all.
call. Because you mentioned very people close to her was calling her in front of you and she would not pick up and she said I'm not interested,
Not interested.
being the
That's
daughter of the father of the nation who
yeah.
himself I don't know if you know, but who himself said in a what's the word for it, in an announcement during that time, that any women who survived that ordeal,
Hmm.
if they need the name of a father whose father may have died or they don't know,
Hmm.
they're allowed to use Bangabandhu as a father's name. So he had a good heart at
I
least.
know.
But his
Yeah.
daughter, 41 years later, would not give you time to sign for your passport.
No,
Okay. So
no. And
this
I'm
is
very
sad.
sad
And
about that.
that's one of the
I'm
reasons
very,
I
very
wanted to.
sad because I need my identity, growing up in this all white society, not learning anything. I had to go there on my own dime, my own money, fly my own way there, fly my own way back, pay for everything, and it's $5,000 every time I go there. So, it's not cheap. And I was asking Hasina to please do this honor for me, but she was not interested.
But you're not asking for money. You were asking just as a token, as a gesture, and she would not do it.
No,
Okay. And this is sad.
no.
I mean, as a Bangladeshi, although I'm not living in Bangladesh right now, but I still have a Bangladeshi nationality. I'm lucky enough to have a one.
I
And,
know.
I can only apologize for the prime minister that we have who do not have the same heart as her father did.
Yeah.
So it's really sad. Now, I'm glad to actually know from you and also from my other friends that bloggers like me, my colleagues, my friends in Bangladesh helped you at least to get you a birth certificate, right?
Yes.
And I saw some pictures of them and helping you. So
Yeah.
I'm really glad that at least the young generation is not as heartless as Sheikh Hasina is.
Yeah.
So how is your Canadian life? How do you spend your days?
um, well, basically, I work 5 days a week, and on the weekends, I have my daughter Julia. Um, so she's a handful, and we try and do the best we can. I'm a single mom, and you know how that is. Yeah. Oh, there's Julia. Yeah,
So
and
that
oh yeah,
that we are
there's
seeing here
Jim,
is your daughter, and who's the guy on the left?
Jim Clark, my dad.
Your adopting dad.
Dad, yeah,
Okay. So now
yeah.
they're looking
That's me in the
quite
middle.
aged, and but obviously during the 70s they were the loving generation, right? Because they embraced you.
Okay,
In a way, yeah. I'm
okay,
still trying to give them the benefit of the doubt because although you may not be very happy with them, but as a Bangladeshi, as somebody who adopted a Bangladeshi war child, we are still kind of grateful to them.
okay.
Um, and here, I don't know if you can see.
Oh yeah,
Do you know her?
Mama. Yeah, yeah. She said she would be my mom.
So
Yeah,
this is Ferdowsi Priyavarshini, right?
yeah, yeah. I've
And
met her many,
recently,
many
only
times.
last week, I think she was given the the announcement that she's a Mukti Yoddha, as in a freedom
Yeah,
fighter. She
freedom
was
fighter.
the also one of the person who got raped by the
Hmm.
Pakistani military and survived, and she's
Yes,
kind of a icon, and we call them Birangona
yes.
in Bangladesh, who had to go through that
Hmm.
painful experience.
Yes,
So,
I've been with her many times. Yeah.
and this is great. I mean,
Hmm.
the reason I'm interested to talk to you. I was interested, and I am still is because not many people outside of Bangladesh is actually aware of what happened during the 1971 war in Bangladesh,
Hmm.
and we don't, unfortunately, we don't do a good job inside Bangladesh to tell that story to the rest of the world in
Hmm.
English. And I have not seen many documentary, many cinema, movies, or any kind of material that can express or tell the rest of the world what it was like for 9 months for people in Bangladesh. I mean, um, it was really traumatizing for the women, obviously, and I can't possibly show you some of the pictures I have seen. They are too upsetting for anybody to see. But at least we can talk about, and somebody must be trying to get in touch with you because I can
Yeah,
hear
yeah,
your phone buzzing constantly.
yeah. I know.
We should have put it on silent earlier. So
Yeah,
this must be your mom, right?
that's my foster mom. That's Margaret Nickel, and she took me in when I was 12 years old, and she taught me about love and life, and that I could be anything I wanted, and I could have what I wanted. I just had to realize what I wanted and go for it.
Yeah,
And at age 23, I got did my nursing, and I bought my first home in the fanciest place in Vancouver, and bought my first home when I was 23 because I could do it. You know,
that is amazing. That is
I know
amazing. It
it really
shows that
is.
Bangladeshis, when they go abroad and if they get the right sort of nursing and nurturing, they do well. And as a lot of people say, Bangladeshi people are very good inherently. You don't have to you don't have to push them too much. For some reason, the whole of Bangladesh, I don't know. I don't want to actually go there, but we could have done better if we didn't have this the 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 power, the enemy that actually lost the war, but still winning inside Bangladesh over the last 41 years. So, what is your plans for Bangladesh? Do you want to go back to Bangladesh at some point and then settle there?
Oh, you mean settle like with the man? Like settle down?
I didn't say that. I'm not. I'm only talking about you. What do you in your personal life is entirely about. It's not because we have almost 30 people watching, and I'm sure
Okay.
this will be in YouTube. A lot of people will watch, and that's not what I asked. I asked about,
Okay.
for example, your future life. Do you want to go back to Bangladesh, kind of live in Bangladesh as a Bangladeshi citizen?
Right. Um, well, see, I can't get a job there. That would be the problem. And the only reason I wouldn't, because without money in Bangladesh, right? What are you? So visiting is yes, for sure. But if I did settle down, it would definitely be like in a marriage kind of sense, where I could work and there was employment for me. So that would be
So,
the only way.
have you explored the possibility of actually getting some sort of job in Bangladesh? And although using your Canadian passport, have you tried?
Yes, I've looked into it, but they, they can't do it. I wanted to get into something like something to do with the jails, like working with the women in jails, something like that.
That's a benevolent thing, and you know because surely inside Bangladesh, lots of foreign nationals are actually working there, right? Lots of Indians, lots of British people work there. So why can't, as a Canadian citizen, you can't work there? What's the
I don't
obstacle?
know. I have the wrong communication. I don't speak the language. There's every barrier that I can run into. I just want to make sure that the women are taken care of. A
This is
lot
a
of
really
them.
good thing that you are willing to do, but
Mm,
and obviously a background that you have and the training that you have formal education in nursing, right?
yeah.
So that is a very important qualification to have if you want to work for women in jail. Because what I hear, there was recently a um, what's the word for it? A judge, a very high up judge recently declared that women inside jail who are waiting for prosecution and waiting for trial,
Yeah.
apparently they are being abused by the system, by inmates, by even the guards themselves. So this is a serious issue, and that means even if the war has ended, the misery of women, the rape of women has not ended. It's now happening, under the guise. So somebody needed to work for them. I'm sure there are people working for them, but somebody like you would have
Hmm.
done a great, honor and service for the country. So I do wish and hope that, if anybody may, go to Bangladesh and actually live in Bangladesh, because, you're a Bangladeshi, at
Yeah.
least you're half Bangladeshi. So I think, your place should be in Bangladesh and helping. Although for me, it's a bit rich to say these things because I left Bangladesh, but I left here for, career. And if I want, I could go back. So that's a different thing. So yeah, I mean, I'm really glad that you could make the time for Bangladesh. And if you want to say anything for a few minutes for Bangladesh, over to you.
Oh, thank you. I just want to thank Kazi Chappell. He's the first one that introduced me to Bangladesh, and I just didn't have any education about Bangladesh, and now I'm learning, and I want to go see the elephant. I want to go see my friends that I've met, and I just want to have fun there and enjoy, enjoy. Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Awesome.
thank
Thanks, Monwara. So that was Monwara Clark from Canada. She's a war child of Bangladesh, and um, obviously today in Bangladesh it's a really sad and somber day. But she knows about her history, but I don't think she experienced the real sadness herself because she is too young to actually witness and remember any of these. She talks about there is a scar on her back right here, and it looks a lot like apparently a bayonet wound. And we knew that the Pakistani military used to, mutilate pregnant women who were pregnant by their rape, and they used to kill. So it's possible from the wound, it's possible to infer that her mom may have died and she may have been kind of born with that wound. So, I can't possibly express what's going through our mind and what sort of trauma as a Bangladesh as a nation has to go through to get born. And it's a really turbulent birth for Bangladesh. And I think we still going through that because, as you know about the history of what happened recently in Bangladesh, the fight between the Islamists, the forces of darkness, and then the bloggers, my colleagues in Bangladesh who died in the hands of those Islamists, and the same Islamists, their ancestors did atrocity inside Bangladesh, helping the Pakistani army. So the war is continuing, and the war has to continue. And we are doing a different kind of war, but it still continues. And the enemy that we have fought is actually Excuse me for a quick second. Sorry, this is it's a kutir shilpo, it's a cottage industry that I'm doing now, so things like that happens occasionally. So yeah, I was saying, people who are listening to this, and if you do listen to it at some point later, try to understand what happens in Bangladesh, and be more aware. And if you're a Bangladeshi listening to this, try to spread this message by sharing it to others, and letting them know what has happened in Bangladesh and what is still happening inside Bangladesh. So thank you for listening and staying with us. We surely will see you sometime in the future. Take care and stay safe. Bye.
সাগর রক্তের বিনিময়ে বাংলার স্বাধীনতা আনলে যারা